Yo, what is going on? This is your boy, Thatguyface with Face the Music Media. You already know what it is. We are back again for another episode of How I Synth. In this video, we got Arturia's SQ80 V. Let's get into it.
Oh yeah. Oh mama. Oh yeah. Face the music.
So, SQ80V is based off of Insonic's wave synthesizer from back in the 80s. It is a wave synthesizer, and it does have all kind of different waves that you can go through and fool around with to get some really interesting textures. It's a digital synthesizer, so it has that classic digital sound where you can get some really nice E-pianos and stuff like that. So off to the left here, we have the main volume. We have the pitch bend and modulation here. We have the arpeggiator section here. We have the detune here for your unison. We have your oscillators here, your filter. Now, if you click on this synthesizer tab, you can break it down and really, dig into the guts of this thing. So, we got our 3 oscillators here. We got the voice section here. And then we have the portamento or glide section here. We have our filter. We have our envelopes here. We have our LFOs. And then we have the amplifier section here, the tune section here, and the mixer here. And then if you go over here, we have our effects. So you can go through and choose all kind of different effects and how you want them routed out here. You want them parallel, or if you want them in a certain series, you can do that here. And, I've messed around with the synth a little bit. I like the way it sounds. It sounds really good to me. The filter is a little steppy, but it is what it is. It still sounds good. But, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. So I'm going to go ahead and go here to default, take it back to the default. All right, perfect. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you already know I like to take the 2 saw waves and detune them for that natural phase sound. It kind of sounds like the natural pulse with modulation. So let's go ahead and fool with that. I'm going to come over here, and with this synthesizer, with the trans wave, you have a little more options. So I'm going to choose that saw over here, turn this one on, go to trans wave, saw, and you have an extra option here to modulate the position. And on the other wave, you do not have that. So I'm going to use this one. But for now, I'm just going to detune the 2 oscillators and see what it sounds like. Let's put a little bit of a tail on that. So let's go over here to the release. Perfect. So let's go ahead and see what the oscillators sound like. Let's go ahead and sweep through that filter and see what it sounds like. Nice. All right. So from there, let's go ahead and route out the position. And let's see here. Let's go to LFO 1 here. I'm going to slow this down a little bit, sync it to the tempo, and put that on about, let's go with 2 beats for now. And then we'll go here, click the plus sign and choose LFO 1. Then we'll click and drag there. And as you can see, it's moving up and down. Let's go ahead and raise that up a little bit. There we go. So let's see what that sounds like. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and do the next one. Here, LFO 1. Drag that up. Let's see. I don't want them to be exact, so I'm going to keep them a little offset so it doesn't sound exactly the same on both sides. See what that sounds like. Perfect. So let's offset that and see what kind of difference that makes. Nice. So I think I'm going to slow that down a little bit, see what that sounds like. So another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the filter and I'm going to modulate the resonance because I want it to kind of slightly go up and down to where it kind of zero ends on the frequencies and then it backs off, zeroes in, backs off. And that's going to create a nice tone and a nice little layer of texture to the sound. So let's go ahead and go. I'm going to use LFO 1. And I want it to just slightly move. I don't want it to do too much. So let's see what that sounds like. So let's try this. I think that's moving a little too slow. Let's go over here to LFO 2, sync it to the tempo. Let's try a half and see what that sounds like. LFO 2. I'm going to speed that up a little bit. Let's see what that sounds like. Nice. I'm loving that. So I'm going to back off of that a little bit because I don't want it to be going too crazy. Nice. So you see how that just helps it to move around and breathe some life into the sound. So, I've got a chord progression I played in the background. I'm just going to go ahead and mess around with the progression and see what we can come up with, man. So let's take a listen. So I think I'm going to go over here to LFO 3. Let's fool around with the tune because I want it to kind of go in and out of tune for a nice lo-fi texture. So I'm going to slightly boost LFO 3 and let's slow that down a little bit, sync it to the tempo. And let's go with 1/4 here. And that is already routed out to the mod wheel, which I'm not going to do that. Let's see what that sounds like. Nice. Loving that. So I'm going to come over here to LFO 2. I'm going to change that to a ramp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pluck sound. So I'm going to come over here to the frequency, hit that plus sign. Let's go to LFO 2. And being that it's a ramp up, I didn't see an option for ramp down. So we'll just go with ramp up, and then we'll go the reverse way to invert it. And then we'll be going down, basically. So let's take a listen to that. Beautiful. I love that sound, man. It sounds amazing. So I'm gonna speed it up and see what that sounds like really quick. So I'm gonna mess with the delay a little bit, and that's just gonna stagger it a little bit so it's not just completely static and exactly the same every time. Beautiful. That sounds so amazing. So I think I'm good for now. I'm not going to fool with the effects. Now, granted, these effects do sound good, but I'm going to do a little something different for this video. What I'm going to do is create what I call my little analog magic chain. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and throw on the 1073 Legacy by UAD. So the way I do it is I'll load up a utility. Let's go to Audio Effects, Utility. We'll do one before and one after because there's no gain compensation on this plugin. So the utility that's going into the Neve is going to determine how hard I drive into the Neve, right? This one here is going to be the compensation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab these, group them. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to drive the line input, and then we'll mess with the EQ, and whatever we do in the EQ to compensate for the gain, we'll reduce it here in the utility. So let's go ahead and take a listen. So as you can see, it just bumps it up a little bit, gives it some juice, some life. I love the way that sounds. And then when you start to add in effects and stuff like that, yeah, it just gets crazy. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. I got another plugin that I have not used on this channel yet, and that is going to be the Amplitude 5. Let's go ahead and throw that on there. Now with the Amplitude 5, you can use some of the cabinets and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that for this specific video. So what I'm going to do is turn that off. I'm going to come over here, turn the cab off, and I'm going to go ahead and add a fuzz pedal to the chain. And what that is going to do is it's going to add an analog feel to it, kind of a distortion, but it's not quite distorted. Fuzz is like the perfect word for it because it just sounds fuzzy, man, and I love it. So let's go ahead and take a listen. That sounds so good. All right, cool. So now that I have that, I am going to add a delay, and let's go over here to, where are you? There you are, X Time. So X Time is a new pedal by IK Multimedia, and they do have hardware versions of this pedal as well. And it's a digital pedal, but they made the software version and it sounds amazing. So let's go ahead and fool with that and see what we can come up with. So I am going to change this mode to, let's go to saturate and see what that sounds like. I'm feeling like a saturation type of mode right now. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to sync it to the BPM, and let's see here. Let's set the time to about half just so we can hear it. And then we'll set the filter to about 6 dB. And let's go ahead and back off of the mod because that's going to introduce some of that distortion. So let's see what that sounds like. Beautiful. I love that sound. So let me go ahead and do this really quick. I'm going to slow that down back to 1/4 just so we can actually hear what's going on with the delay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up another instance of Amplitude because I don't have the fully extended version. So I can only add 2 at a time. So to get around that, I'll go ahead and just load up another one. Let's go back over here and I'm going to add a reverb, and that is going to be X space. So I'm going to bring that down here. Let's go ahead and let's choose spring because I love spring reverbs. Take up that pre-delay, take up the time, and we'll kind of mess around with the values, but let's go ahead and see what that sounds like. Beautiful. So that's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and back off of that. Let's see what it sounds like now with everything kind of tamed in the sound and not too pronounced. Turn the mix down just a little bit, and I'm going to boost that fuzz just a little bit. See what it sounds like. Beautiful. All right, so to bring it on home, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some compression. So I'm going to come over here to the Neve 2254. And let's go ahead and mess around. I just want to slightly glue everything together so the reverb and delay stands out. So I'm going to put the limiter on off mode. I'm going to take the compression to slow, and then let's go ahead and back off of the threshold. See what it sounds like. Beautiful. Yo man, that's the end of this video. Let me know what you think about the SQ80. I think we can get some really dope sounds with this synthesizer. I haven't fooled with it as much as some of the other ones yet, but I will because it has so many oscillators. It's actually kind of crazy. But so far, I'm loving the sound of it. I wish the filter was not so steppy, but you know, I can get past that. It's all good. It sounds amazing. I love it. I love just new synthesizers that are outside of what we're used to. That's why I love Cherry Audio so much, because, you know, a lot of their synthesizers are just ones that we just never would have thought of. So I love that. This is another one, SQ80. I never even heard of this synthesizer, so I love it. It sounds good. The possibilities are endless. And it is one of those types of synths that, you know, you'll mess around and lose an hour fooling around with it. So that's a win in my book. Let me know what you think about this synthesizer in the comments. Have you messed around with the synthesizer? Again, this is Thatguyface for Facing Music Media. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel. You know what I'm saying? We got so much more content coming, so many more reviews, so many more techniques and tactics to, you know, help you get the most out of your synthesizers. And not only that, we're going to show you how to create patches from scratch, easy and no time flat. So that way you can make your own sounds, man, and you can start to blossom into, a more unique sounding producer. And that's just what it's all about for me. I love making my own unique sounds. So anyway, stay tuned. This is Thatguyface, Face the Music Media. We out of here. Peace.